Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while. I took a little hiatus on YouTube making videos and stuff over the holidays because I just wanted to spend time with my family and with Markus and his family and just kind of relax and not have to worry about video making. So yeah, needless to say, I had a great relaxing holiday. That being said, I didn't get much reading done, so yeah, my team ended up winning for the readathon. However, I was not the best team member because I only managed to get 4 prompts done. So yeah, this video is going to be a wrap up essentially of what I did read in the readathon, but then I'm also going to talk about my top books of 2019. I'm going to limit it to about 10 of them so that I don't blabber on forever. But yeah, I'll do the top 10 of 2019. Those are the ones that like I enjoyed the most. And a lot of them are on the shelves. Some of them aren't because I don't have all of them in physical format. And you guys get a little treat. Markus is also going to talk about his top 10 of 2019. So yeah, he's real. And also to clarify, these are the top 10 books that I read in 2019. They didn't necessarily all come out in 2019. I just read them this year. So as you can see behind me, these are the books that I did not finish. These are the books that I did finish. The books that I did finish is a smaller pile, but you know what? We all have those reading slumps. I guess I got into one for a little bit, so yeah. Also, I did want to give a shout out to Markus and his mom because they got me this fantastic ring light. Have you guys noticed how awesome this lighting is right now? You can only tell that there's a ring light when I do this because it reflects in my glasses. But yeah, I'm loving this lighting situation right now and it's fantastic. I'm also having really bad hair day, so that's why the hat's on. Yeah, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it today. So on to the books that I did read for the readathon. The first one was the Blitzen Prompt, which was to read a graphic novel, and I read Heralds, which is a Marvel graphic novel. This one's centered on a lot of the different like strong female characters in the Marvel universe, and they kind of come together for Emma Frost's birthday, and then something happens in Las Vegas where they are celebrating her birthday and they need to like kind of come together to fight against this threat. This book wasn't the best. Like, there are definitely other Marvel plots that are a lot more intense and gripping than this one was. I didn't feel pulled in and I felt kind of bored reading this one, to be honest. So this was not my highlight of the month, but yeah, got 5 points for it, so that's something. Then I did my Dasher prompt, which was to read a book that was under 250 pages. So I chose One Queen of an Ending by Zachary Ryan. This is the conclusion to the High School Queens trilogy, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, this was the conclusion. It was pretty good. It wasn't as capturing as the first one, I will say, but it did kind of like wrap everything up and tie up all the loose ends. And you kind of got to know a little bit more about the characters before it was over. It resolved some of the storylines for like each of the characters. Some of them I was excited about and glad that they happened the way they did. Some of them I was like, oh shit, that happened. So yeah, there's definitely like mixed feelings about this book, but over like the trilogy as a whole, I definitely really liked the first one. That is very gripping, and then the other two are decent in themselves, but the first one is the best by far in my opinion. He also sent me his new book called Thirst Trap, which I got just before the holidays, so I'm sure you will be seeing me talking about that book in upcoming videos. Then for my comic prompt, I read Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson, and I really liked this book. This was my first introduction to Brandon Sanderson, and I'm really glad it was. I did my reading vlog for this book, and as you can tell if you watch my reading vlog, I really enjoyed reading the book, but every time I went to pick it up, I just got super tired, and I don't think it was the book's fault. I think it was just like the mood that I was in from doing activities previous to picking up the book to read. Like multiple times, I think I was out at different games nights, and then I decided to read after that, so I was just exhausted from playing so many games. But yeah, anyways, this book, back to the book. This book was really good. I really enjoyed all the different characters of the different, like, the Reckoners team, and there are so many things in this book that left me like wanting to know more for the next book that they just like they weren't revealed yet. And I liked that for once it was the normal people fighting back against people with powers and kind of like rising up in themselves and coming together to fight somebody that is like obviously way more powerful than them, but they worked together to like combat the situation. Like typically when you're reading these kind of books, or like a lot of the time in like YA books, it's always centered on the person that is special or has the special abilities or is revealed to have special abilities. In this case, it's centered on the people that don't have the special abilities and how they cope with the situations they're put into. So yeah, needless to say, I'm really looking forward to the next one in this series, and it'll definitely be one of my 2020 reads. And the last book that I read for the Reindeer Readathon, because I didn't get very far in it, was for the Donner Prompt, which is to be a book that I think has a beautiful cover. And so for this one, I chose The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So at the beginning of this book, I wasn't sure how to feel about it because I liked the main character. Jude is very likable in the way that she like appears at first, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like all the decisions she made throughout the book. But as it went along, I kind of like flipped my tune on that, and I was like, you know what? Jude's a pretty cool character, and I'm approving of the decisions she's making. There were some things that I did not see coming at all, so that was awesome. And I also really liked the world building of this book. Like, I haven't really read many books that involve Fae in them, so it was really cool to like learn about the Fae and learn about all the different things they can do and how they're very like trickstery and are deceitful and deceptive, and kind of like all the things they do to like kind of mess with humans is really kind of like effed up. they do a lot of things that are, well, cruel. So the book title is very fitting. There was one character in this book that I did really like, and he's like a very like sneaky, deceptive person, but he's also very like humble. So I can't really say, like, I don't want to give anything away about this book, but I will say that I'm going to be continuing this series because I was just like, my mind was blown at the end, and I want to know what happens next. I also put an effort forth to try and get one last book in, and that was Other Life by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller, but I only got like 60 pages in, so I did not really succeed in that. That being said, this book is really good and I'm enjoying it so far, but I just didn't have the time to put in to finish it. But I did start it. So I would say I got like a good 45% through my prompts. Those are all the books that I completed for the Reindeer Readathon. I wish I could say that I completed more, but our team won, so that's pretty sweet anyways. Yeah, so now I think I'll move on to my top reads of 2019. So the first book on my list of top reads is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This book was insane, and it literally just like had my mind boggled through the whole thing, but like in a good way. I was loving it. It was so intense, and there were like, I don't even know how to describe this book because it was so good for me, and I literally like flew through this thing. It deals with the concept of time. It deals with a lot of sci-fi features, and like there's murder, deception, thrilling scenes, suspenseful scenes. It literally has like all of that encaptured in this one book. And yeah, like I really enjoyed this one, and I am excited to read Recursion when I eventually get to that. Markus got me this book on a whim, and we buddy read it together, and I'm really glad that he did that because it was awesome. Then there's Crier's War, which I only have the advanced reader's copy for, but oh my god, this book was awesome. A great mixture of fantasy and sci-fi. I actually had some people reach out to me and say that they read it because they saw that I recommended it in my video, and they really enjoyed it too. So now we set up a buddy read for the sequel of this book for whenever it comes out. Things like that are just awesome. Like that's the reason why I'm on here. That's the reason why I love the book community so much, is because one little thing that I said in a video sparked somebody else to read the same book, and then I get to hear that they really liked it as well. It's just, I love stuff like that. It just makes me so happy, and that made my day today. Of course, I couldn't leave out my favorite author, Pierce Brown, with Iron Gold. This one also came in at one of my top 10 books of the year. It's the continuation of the Red Rising series, but 10 years later. And it was just so exciting to dive back into this world full of characters that I love and just see what is happening, and his new take on this next trilogy being added to this world that he's created. And then, I bet you haven't heard about this book, Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson, because it was just so good. And I already talked about it, so you know. Then there's The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This was a great contemporary read that Markus and I also buddy read together. And yeah, this one was like a very pleasant surprise for me. I wasn't sure it would be a top rated book, but it actually ended up to be really good, and I enjoyed how she ended it off. It's also a very easy book to read. Like, if you read any of Nicola Yoon's books, her chapters are very short, and sometimes they're done in very playful ways. So it's a very easy book to get through. I just really enjoy her writing style. Then there's Last Call at the Nightshade Lounge. This is a book that I actually discovered through BookTube, and I told Markus about it, and he bought it for me as a surprise. And this was another book that I really enjoyed. So clearly any book that Markus buys me, I'm going to love. But yeah, he actually just got me the next book by Paul Kruger for Christmas, and that's called The Steel Crow Saga. And it's supposed to be like a fantasy with the vibes of like Pokemon in it. So I'm pretty pumped to check that out in the new year. And of course, I gotta give a shout out to an awesome author, and that's Jo Triggiari with her book Ashes Ashes. This is the book that I said it was similar to Divergent in the kind of like social aspect of it. This was a book about people that survived natural disasters and plague, and now they are surviving in like what remains of New York City and just trying to stay alive. A lot of Jo Triggiari's books have survival as one of the main themes of the books, and I love books like that. So if she keeps doing it, I'm gonna stay hooked. Then another recommendation by Markus and one of his books, The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. This book follows 3 different characters, and it's a fantasy about these like demons that rise every night, and these 3 different characters, it's kind of their story told on how they survive living with getting through each night, trying to fight off demons. They can create things called wards, which like are kind of like temporary shields that keep the demons away. So naturally, The Warded Man is the name of the book. I've talked about it in past videos, so if you want to know more, go check those out. And then there was High School Queens, which I talked about earlier, but this was the first book in that series. I really enjoyed this book, and this was like my first introduction to like this kind of like dramatic sassiness and the like Gossip Girl effect in the writing style. So yeah, that really just like hooked me right away. And because it was the first one of the series, I was pulled right in. And then the last one I'll just show here because I read an arc of it, and it was called The Secrets You Hide. This was a thriller that I read while I was on my vacation to Ireland and Scotland. So a lot of the time when I should have been looking out the windows at all the scenery, I was engrossed in a book. And this is the book that kept me from looking at the scenery. This book was about a courtroom artist and her mysterious past that kind of ties with being in a courtroom and how she came to be a courtroom artist. There's lots of family drama and deception and other things that I can't say without spoiling it, but I would say to check it out because if you like thrillers, this is a really good one. And those are all the books that I counted as my favorites for 2019. Now, Markus is going to tell you about his favorite books of 2019.
So Eric asked me to do my top 10 favorite books of the year, and these are the books that I chose in no particular order. So first we have Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. It's just a book about a bunch of badass nuns that are assassins, and it's just really good. Second, we have another book about assassins, and that is God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. This one focuses a little more on gladiators, but still really awesome. I wasn't too shocked that this was one of my favorites this year because last year Nevernight also made it to one of my favorites. So really enjoy Jay Kristoff's writing. So next we have Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. This one has magic and guns, and it's just kind of a different twist on fantasy that I normally read. The next one I don't have a physical copy of, so I'm sure Eric's going to do some magic here. But it's Advent by Xander Boyce. So it's a lit RPG book, so it's kind of like science fiction and fantasy put together. I've been really enjoying that genre this year. So the next two books are by the same author. So first we have Final Empire, the first book of the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. And then the second book is Firefight, which is the second book in the Reckner series. I've lost track of what number I'm at, but we have next Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. It's just a really fun book where a witch marries a witch hunter. So the next book came kind of as a surprise. It was just a book I picked up to read quickly, and that is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castel. It's a very fun read. The description on the back is just very simple and just covers the first couple chapters, and then it just kind of goes wild, and it's just kind of like a Western cowboys and magic all kind of put together, and it's just a lot of fun. As like a bonus, I'm also gonna add the third book in this series because I also gave this 5 stars. Last two books both came as surprises. I read both of them in December for the Readathon, and purely just read them just because they fit the prompts. So the first one is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. It was a little darker than what I was expecting, and I enjoyed it more than the books in the Darker Shade of Magic series. And then the last book came as a complete surprise. It's been on my shelf for years, and I don't think I would have read it probably for another few more years had it not been for the prompt. And the book that came as a complete surprise was The Young Elites. I just was not expecting it to be as dark, and the main character is just out for blood, and I was not expecting that. So it's just a very enjoyable read. So those are my top 10 books of 2019. Hope you guys enjoyed your reading year as much as I did. I don't know how I completely forgot this book, but I just want to add The Core, which is the 5th and final book to The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett, which is one of my favorite book series. I got nervous, guys. It's my first time filming, so I don't know what I'm doing. I was told to clarify that I am not a paid actor. I truly am dating Eric. Is that what you wanted me to say? And for those of you who are wondering, surprise, I'm real. I'm a real boy. So enough with my awkwardness. Here's Eric.
And that's it for my video, guys. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that joined in on the Reindeer Readathon. Thank you to Markus for helping me plan the thing. Without him, it never would have happened. Thank you to all my co-hosts for being on the different teams and hosting them and helping with accumulating the points into a spreadsheet and keeping track of all their team members. Like, honestly, you guys were amazing throughout this readathon. And thank you to you guys, the readers, for joining in on the readathon. Honestly, this is the first time I ever made a readathon. I wasn't sure if it was going to work or if it wasn't going to work, but I'm so glad that you guys all participated because you made it a reality and you made it happen. And I can't wait to host this readathon again next year because it was just so much fun. You guys should tell me what your favorite books were of 2019 down in the comments below because I would really love to know. Maybe we matched up on some of them, or maybe you can introduce me to some new books that will be my favorite books of 2020. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, let me know in the comments. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, keep on reading.